really what's going on? Where do we stand now?
Well, as it stands right now, when I had an officer take the time cards over to the magistrate and city clerk, which is one person, she asked him if I terminated him today, and he answered her no. And she said, well, anybody that chief has terminated today, which I terminated 2 today, but she told him that I don't have the authority to terminate my officers for misconduct or whatever the case may be. And she said, but Chief and Babs, which is the investigator, John Babinski, that we were going to be terminated today at 2 o'clock when I come into the office. And I work, the town doesn't provide any benefits whatsoever. They don't provide any duty equipment, they don't provide the weapons. Each officer here lives and survives off of very low pay. They have to provide all their own equipment, which this stuff is not cheap. You don't go to Walmart and get this kind of stuff. And they have to put out of their own pocket. And they have to buy everything except the uniform. That's the only thing that the town provides. No insurance, no medical, no dental, and they don't have any retirement whatsoever, no state retirement. And they have nothing to offer. And for them to say, I know they had been discussing, they had a council meeting and then they had a special session, working session last night. And the council seems to think that they override the mayor and his authority. They're trying to make decisions on their own and override whatever the mayor wants. The mayor and I have an agreement. If I wanted to hire you, for example, I would bring you in, talk to you, look over your credentials. I'd do background checks, and then if I feel that I want you as my officer, then I'd make a recommendation to the mayor. The mayor approves it, boom, you're hired. Today, as far as I know, the investigator, Babinski, and myself are supposed to be terminated. I don't see them up here. I thought they was going to be here, and if they're right, why aren't they here? If they have grounds to terminate us, why are they not here in front of you explaining how bad of a job we've done? Because we have done nothing wrong, and I'm speaking of Babinski and myself.
Your reactions to what's going on right now, I mean.
Well, I've worked with Keith for some time now, and Keith and I work together real well, and I haven't had any problems with him or with any situation with us. But the council, we have an ordinance in this town that the council makes all the decisions on all the hiring. And last night we met to bring some of this up to date, some of our policemen up to date on who's been hired and who hasn't been hired legally or whatever by them. But when it was in the meeting, they decided to, they didn't want a chief. They said they didn't want a chief that couldn't be here 100% of the time. And so they brought it up and they started discussing it and decided they wanted me to come to him and say if he can't be here during those 3 days of the week 100% of the time, then we'd have to let him go. And so that's where all this stemmed from, about whether or not he can stay here or not. But the council voted to do that last night. So I've come to Keith and I've told him what the council told me to tell him. That's where it stands now.
So is there going to be a termination?
According to the council, yes. According to the council, if he decides by Friday, if he decides not to be in with does not decide to come full time or come during the day. I mean, he's full time, but not if he doesn't come during the day, then yeah, he'll be terminated Friday. We've had like this ordinance. I said it come up. It was in 1996. This ordinance came up, or it was drawn up then, and I wasn't even aware of it until a few weeks ago. But the council has all the power to hire and fire. It's not just the mayor. I can't really just come up and hire people, anybody. The council has to do it, and so that's causing a kind of a problem. It makes it hard to run a place. It's hard to run a business or run a town and not be able to have that freedom to do things. You know, I have no problem with them come back later and say, yes, we agree with you or disagree with you, but it's kind of hard to run a town if you just if your hands are tied all the time.
How many city employees do you have on staff here? Not just the police department, but the entire city?
It's probably about 20.
Have you had any problems occur like this in the
No,
past for them?
no,
Just the police department?
yeah. So far I saw.
So the two terminations would be Babs and the chief, which they claim both were hired not according to regulations. Is that correct?
Well, we've been bringing some along, and as we have time, we changed the way we've been doing things. We were running it with more full-time people. We decided to do it with fewer we decided to start doing this with fewer full-time people and use part-timers. And so, in the last month or two, we've been bringing in part-timers, and these new guys we're bringing in. Sometimes we'd have time to do them in a meeting, sometimes we didn't, and there was a few of them that hadn't been approved by the council or hired by the council. So Babs was one of them. He was one of them that hadn't been approved, and they decided not to approve him. So basically what it is.
And the two people that were terminated today, you did that.
Correct.
Does the council want those people rehired?
Evidently.
Okay.
As far as I know, I've talked to some of the council, and I've got to get back with the council and find out what they want to do.